Good day, grade 11 Valor. Um, Again, very solid last night. For the recording I sent, unfortunately, dili pa data accounting, no? I sent the accounting chapter. I forgot na sa principles of marketing pa data. But to make it up to you, I'll be uploading again tomorrow. Or rather, by the time you're watching this, it's going to be February 23. Um, if you're worried if malesen ang number of days na mag-take mo og quiz, don't worry, I will just be extending it I'll just extend one more day, no. Sala mo po nako na mali di ay very very I don't know what happened. But anyway, let's continue with our chapter 2 of principles of marketing and not the fundamentals of accounting, business, and management. So, which is about goals of marketing and the contemporary methods of marketing. So, what are the objectives that we will be having today? First, the very first objective is to identify the four common goals of marketing. Next, we will be formulating goals for a specific business, no? Of course, of your choice. So, but this will be applicable sa inyong performance task, which I will be giving next week. Next is to identify the roles of a marketer. Next is to differentiate old generation customers from new gen customers. Very simple. And next is to name and discuss a few contemporary methods of marketing. I think most of the methods you are already aware of or are already familiar with or inyuhan ang na-encounter, no? Again, contemporary naman. So let's start with the very first slide, which is what reasons are there for creating businesses. So there are so many reasons why people create businesses, but again, just always remember that it's usually profit based, no? People create businesses in order for them to profit or for to increase their capital. Pampayaman dyan. Of course, when we want to create businesses, or when we create businesses, we also have to market our business. If we do not market our business, then dili siya magawas, no? It will not be as di man pud famous. It doesn't necessarily have to be very famous, but at least the reach of your consumers, no, will not be fulfilled if you do not know how to market, no? That's why one of the very very key elements of a successful company is marketing, no? And when you market, you need to have a clear vision. If you understand the identity of your business, then it's easier for you to at least market. All you have to do is adjust or at least adapt to the external environment. A company has to then formulate a specific set of business goals and objectives which will serve as the stepping stone of the said business to success. So without goals or without objectives, then one cannot or the business cannot prosper in terms of adding consumers, creating customer loyalty, creating consumer loyalty. What are goals and objectives? Again, remember, goals and objectives are very short term, but they're still very important. Goals are aspirations that every company would like to pursue, or what's the general direction that you want to take as a business. So what are the things that you would want your business to do in order for them to reach your said vision? Then dira na si goals. And in order for us to achieve our goals, we have then to set objectives. Objectives are very specific goals, more specific than more specific than the goals itself. It can be measured in a very short term. Usually mga 1 year or less na siya si objectives, no? Or pwede man siya longer, but at least specified siya. As long as, or the moment that your objectives are already met, then your one goal that you have set for your company is also met. So objective should also be should be not very, but should be smart. What does smart mean? It means S, specific, should be M, measurable. It also has to be achievable or attainable. R, relevant, no? Dili pwede na for example, the objective you are creating is not related to the vision of your company. So it or opposite siya sa inyong identity. And of course, there should be a specific time kung kano sa siya ma-meet ang objective. That's why it has to be time bounded, no? Or time. There's time that has to be, or that what do you call this, set for each objective that you create, that you will be creating or you will be doing. Without all of these factors, especially when it comes to time and specificity, then you will not know, or you cannot measure, you cannot evaluate if you have already done the objective. So mo na siya. That's why objectives and goals are important. For example, examples of goals are this. You can see in the screen already. To become the market of blank in Davao City. So it's quite general, but still, it's very important, because even if the goals are quite general, at the end of the day, the objectives will be the measuring tools, or the checklists, kumbaga, your checklist kung saan mo pag measure if their goal as well is already met. No? So kanipod, what is the difference now between the goal and the objective is, if you notice, there is a certain quantitative aspect to the objective. First is the percentage, diba? Percentage, or the amount that you want to achieve, no? For example, in the first example here, to achieve 20% of sales, and then not just quantitative value in terms of the percentage, but even in terms of time, kung kailan siya matapos, like for example, at the end of year 5, so it's called an objective because it hits both those factors. And not just that, it's also very specific. How will we hit, or how will we achieve the increase of your sales, no? In this example, mag-online marketing ka. No? So there's a specific objective, or a specific thing that the company will do in order to achieve the objective. Sir, if I will complete the objective, will the goal be met? It depends. If your goal has maybe 2 or 3 objectives, it's not enough na isa lang ang objective na ma-meet. Dapat tanan jud, no? Partially, or kung duha lang out of the 3, that's partially completed, say partially completed goal, that you then have to create different objectives in order to meet again the unmet objective. So medyo ingana siya. So remember that it's very specific, no? So as long as you know when it will be done, how it will be done, then or how much will you have to do to get it done, then that's an objective. In marketing, it's very important as well, because you have to at least quantify the success of your said marketing strategy in order for you to say, ay, okay na din na mao din mo gihimo, because nag-create mo commercial sa TV, nagpa-endorse mi sa very famous na artista, naa ba siya increase of sales, no? Tayo si Tom Rodriguez gikuha sa sa katong Ligo Sardines ba to siya, naa ba siya specific na increase sa iyang sales sa Mindanao na market, kay local man to siya na product, no? Sa Mindanao market man siya famous. Pag mga ingana, no, very very obscure, di ba obscure, but very dili siya ingana ka common na practice in terms of marketing. Or like for example, nagkuha kag very random person to market your product, will it be achievable at the end of the day? So dapat, in order for you to understand that, you should have there should be again, it should be measured rather. So what are the common marketing goals, no? Guide a company in achieving the objectives. So one example, or again, one very important thing that marketing does is it helps you achieve your goals. It helps you profit, no? With the correct strategies, goals can still give the company a competitive advantage in the market, because your competitors will always be marketing their products. For example, karon, no, with all the social media influence that that all of the world has, rather, then how will you take advantage of that? Or your market, your competitors already are taking advantage of that. Like for example, with tech, no? Dili naman na siya enough na si word of mouth lang siya, or si via sales, or because of the brand, the name, no? You, like for example, kay mga influencers online, kana mga tech YouTubers, very important na sila na aspect in terms of marketing your product, because of course, if someone that is very savvy in terms of technology is already marketing or already patronizing your product, then it's easier for you to market it as well. So so many marketing strategies right now that are quite simple in hindsight, or I think at least when you look at it, but it takes a lot of effort to think about or to create, you know, these strategies. Di siya lalim. Dali man siya una-unaon because you've already seen it, no? You're the consumer. You can always say na kaya raman din na anaon, but the process of getting to it is quite complex man din at the end of the day, no? And then you, of course, in the market, enable it to sustain its functions and continuously serve the market and reward the investors. The more the people will patronize your product or will love your product, or will at least use your product, no? Evangelize mo sila, then the investors, kamo, the shareholders, or the owners of the sole proprietorship will be rewarded in return. You have to spend in order to gain, di ba? So in business rather, dili na pwede na wala kay ginagawas na kwarta. Dili ka mag-utang, no? There's always going to be liability in order to create at least, or to get additional assets to increase your capital. So what are the common marketing goals is to develop factors rather is to develop and maintain a profitable base of loyal customers. Like I said, there always should be customer loyalty in order for for example, if you're a very big product, then you need customer loyalty to survive, because when hype goes down and everything goes down, dili man yun na always naka sa taas, your loyal customers will still be there to patronize to always tangkilik your products, kumbaga. Is to develop products and services which contribute to the quality of life and promote environmental conservation. Of course, ideally, when you're a business owner, no, you should ideally, again, CSR, or if you remember our lessons on CSR, you have to contribute to environmental conservation as well as the quality of life. If you cannot at least promote environmental conservation, at least your products should propose quality of life. It makes the life of your consumers easier, and of course, if you can, which is again ideal dapat, you have to promote environmental conservation. Your product should not hinder in the natural process of evolution, or the environmental aspects of everything. For example, produce mo daghan kayo na products pero dili siya good for the environment. How will you market, or rather, how can you market your business if dili po siya ingana ka good for the environment? Ideally. Pero at the end of the day, that's not how the world works, diba? Even if your business is not environmental friendly, or at least it does not promote the best quality of life, at the end of the day, ang paliton mo palit mo ng tao kung sa gusto nila paliton. The job of of marketing specialists right now is to at least naman tweak, or not to brainwash, but at least how will you find ways in order to make the people buy your products regardless of the flaws, but the imperfections of your business. So again, you have to understand customers' behavior and communicate them to them rather the market offerings. You have to understand, again, going back to management, there one factor of management is to understand the psychology of your consumers, diba? Why are they buying products like these? Even if they're expensive, and they're not that important. Like for example, when you buy products that are kutay ka ng mga products sa mga K-pop products or kanang mga products ng kanang mga na sa anime or sa or kanang mga merchandise sa mga favorite niyo movies, they are not that, they don't promote quality of life, di ba? They don't promote environmental conservation, but again, people buy it, no? So again, you have to research as marketing strategists. You have to understand that people will buy them regardless. Now again, how will you communicate to them the offerings that you have, the offerings that can tackle the wants and the needs of your consumers, no? To support the other functional areas of business in achieving the company or corporate goals. Again, when marketing succeeds, all aspects of a business, an organization, or a corporation will also succeed. Okay? So many roles of the marketer. One of the primary goals of a company is, again, to maintain a profitable base of loyal customers. I think we already talked about that. So let's continue with the 4 roles of the marketer. According to Comstock, Golati, and Liguri. The very first role of a marketer is to become an instigator. So marketers will serve as strategists who will analyze the current market trends to guide, again, the actions of the company. If you cannot rather understand market trends, what's in right now, there's always going to be a generational change of trends. From time to time, even it doesn't have to be generational gani. Sometimes it only takes a few months. It even takes a few weeks to just get tired of one thing and to move on from one thing or another. And again, marketing is very hard because of that. How will you try to always adjust and always adapt to the ever-changing wants, and needs, and the the interests of the market? And it's not just that, you have to at least compete with your the other the other people of the industry, mga competitors nimo. They also have to create or at least analyze or understand market trends. Karon kinsay maglabaw dun sa inyong hatanan. Of course, you have to think outside the box to gain an advantage over your competition. You always have to create more ways in order for you to stand out. The question is how. There's always going to be a question of how. That's the job, again, of the marketing department in a business, to stand out, to make the business stand out. And that's the instigator. But you can also be a marketer that's an innovator. You're tasked with researching the different kinds of products that the customers need and ensure that the product that you have developed not only meets the customer's expectations but also exceeds them. So you have to create and create and create, even if sometimes it fails. Every big corporation, they always have rather an R&D department or research and development department in order for them to create products that are not stagnant, dili static. Dili siya isa lang and that's it. It might work if you're a sole proprietor. It might work if you're if you're a service-based business. Kung tayo attorney ka, mao jud na imong specialty. Or if doctor ka, mao jud na imong specialty, kay that's health is a need, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Naadyo na sila sa mga dali ra kwaon, security and health. So you don't really need to become extremely flexible. Pero pag abot sa kanang taas, the tippy top of the hierarchy of needs, na moingon na pud tag basig dili na pud ni siya need, mugawas na ang want sa tao, dapat mag-innovate na jud ka. Because as much as we would like to say na human beings can survive with their needs, tao ra bang pud tao. We have wants, man. We don't want to eat one type of food for the rest of our lives. Dira na magawa sa innovator na marketer. How will I try to promote something, or how will I try to create something out of the products, or out of the needs, or the wants rather, of my consumers? You can also be an integrator. You're the mediator, between the interests of the company and the interests of the consumers. Most of the time, consumers will always be selfish in terms of the products that they want. Okay, they will always say that the customer is always right. The consumer's needs have to be met, because if you don't, wala ang imuhang di ba? Imong population, your consumer population. But at the end of the day, naamang po yung needs na gusto i-meet si company. Number one is to profit. How will I try to, and not all of the needs of the consumers are profitable, can be profitable. So again, if you're the marketer, you also may become a mediator. You have to communicate customer insights and opinions to the company. You also have to make sure that kanang information na that the customers want reaches the concerned departments, or the concerned departments of the business, as well as unsay needs or unsay gusto sa direction, the vision of the company. You as the marketer will then have to provide that avenue for the business to show the consumers kung unsay gusto pud nila. The business will always have a vision, and sometimes the needs of the consumers might get in the way of achieving that said vision, or sometimes it goes the other way around. So how will you try to mediate with that? Muna na ang role sa marketing, public relations, and all that, diba? Next is the implementer. Of course, with all of the strategies that are created, the marketing department will always have to implement it at the end of the day. Create yun mo something. Doesn't necessarily have to be a promotional ad or an advertisement. There are so many flexible ways on how we can market already right now. So it's up to you to implement it if you become a marketing specialist. Okay? So let's continue on with the different kinds of contemporary marketing methods. This is not necessarily all of the marketing methods that are existing right now, but these are some of the most common. You can think of something else, wala problema. You can always just discuss it with the class next week. But first, of course, let's check out there are two classifications of customers: old generation customers and new generation customers. We notice, or in terms of marketing, there is always an apparent difference with how we have to market our products or services based on the kind of customer that you have. Whereas old generation customers are very traditional, very loyal to traditional products. They will really do their best to avoid venturing to different kinds of varieties of their products, because it's always going to be tried and tested. Mao na ang reason yun. Tried and tested na siya. Why would we change? Mao naman ni ang nahayangan na mo. So they're very inclined to their comfort zones. Whereas new generation customers, especially karon with very short attention spans in terms of their wants and their needs, their ganahan sila ani puntahay na ako ay iPhone 11. This is the new phone. Pagka next year, di na ko ani kay nanay iPhone 12. Next year na po, I want an iPhone 13. Samsung whatever. Or there's a new phone here, there's a new show here. Kapoy na ko ani, kanina pa daw tanaw na sa Lida, And that's why kaning mga corporations, they will do their best to produce so many or manufacture so many products, because at the end of the day, daghan na kayo we are living in a world where mga Gen Z or mga millennials or kaning mga new generation of customers or consumers, they're very, very they want variety in their lives. So many alternatives in their lives. Muna siya, they're very open to new products and technologies, very inclined to self-expression, and the product should at least relate to them as well. So karon, there are so many marketing approaches that will do their best to implement or complement that, both old and new. The very first one is digital marketing. Digital marketing is the use of digital technologies in presenting the product or service offerings of a company. So there are so many ways of digital marketing. Example is when you create through large screen monitors or display ads, no. So let's try to delve into these different types of digital marketing. One example is e-marketing or online marketing. And you use the internet to boost promotional and marketing efforts. For example, matingala mo sa email ninyo, daghan kay mag normal inbox lang good sa inbox niya, normal mga messages, very simple, na promo ingani, na ingani, na offering ingani. So kana na type of marketing is very simple and very immersion ka ng, it doesn't have to be in your face, but it still is one type of marketing, no? One example is when right now search engine optimization, mga search engines karon, they already know what you want to search immediately, and because they have gathered billions siguro or maybe trillions na gani of data that people have already registered online. So therefore, no, through that, no, they will optimize your searches, no? Kung gusto nimo, sila na mag-provide. It's like the technology is already taking control of what you want to think, diba? Another example of that is Lazada and Facebook. Mga promotional ads in Facebook, no. Si Lazada, magstorya lang mo sa imuhang friend sa messages about you wanting to buy socks or you wanting to buy a bag. Immediately after a few seconds or a few minutes, magawas na siya sa imuhang newsfeed. Or when you want, or if mag-share ka og like for example a pagkaon, no, any kind of random food, no, crave lang ka, after a few minutes mo na magawas tanan, no. Of course that's very sometimes, and it doesn't really show na in your face po siya, even if in a way it is, but it's still effective because sooner or later gutomon man dyan. Good lang mo na sa pagkaon kasi ba, kung dili ka magunahon na mong kaon, yung mo pop up na sa mong phone na na ay kuan na discount ang ron, ang Food Panda or Grab Food, pugos kag kaon. Or misag dili ka moingon lang ka na, magtanaw-tanaw lang ko sa Lazada or Shopee, mag window shopping lang gugo. Kunya gawas ka rin ang mga gusto nimo paliton, pang naaday mga moingon dayon siya na 20% off siya or there's a certain percentage that it's off. Wala na kay mahimo, gikaon na ka sa kuan, nagkatawa na lang ang ang Lazada sa imo kay or ang Shopee sa imo kay na nadala man ka even if dili ka. But that's the power of e-marketing or online marketing, no? Again, so many examples. An example is this. For example, search ka for laptops online. You're just curious, you want to know about it. Tingala na lang ka. Na 6,000 na whatever, 5,000, 3,000 na discount. Pwede pa nimo i-swipe or pwede pa nimo ipa-home credit. Mapugos ka, moingon jud kasi mo kung tayo sa inyo because you're still in senior high school, di mo magpapa awa na i-promo, sige na kay kuan po na ba, beneficial po na si mo credit score ba, napalitan na kag laptop, no? Why? Because igawas lang siya sa Facebook randomly na kuan, and of course who will benefit? You. But who will benefit more? Kani mga major corporations. Naatik man kanila, joke atay lang, or na sa inyo kung if you interpret it as such, di ba? Outdoor promotion, pwede po, it's quite the borderline between traditional and new contemporary methods of learning. Kaya naman dyan karon, di ba? Sa una pa man na kanang sa kung agi Arbang Keruhan Bridge na amon yung mga and you're displaying promotional materials outdoors, no, via digital billboards or traditional billboards. Like for example, in our school, di ba, LPU, if you go sa kanto dira sa LPU, there's a very big digital billboard there that shows na LPU life enroll now in Chuva Chuva. It may work sometimes, no. It there's a reason why they will put that, no? Or it's already there. It's one form of marketing. In one way, you can put it this way na when a school can afford this much for promoting their school, then at least they're more or less capable of creating a sustainable what do you call this, quality of education. Although dili siya naga-make og sense, but sometimes that's how people really think, di ba? This is an expensive school, so I will go here because it's expensive. It will always translate to good education or good quality of education. I'm not saying that our school is not providing the best quality education, kay mahal siya, but it helps in marketing. That's how it is, di ba? Naanay flight school sa LPU next year. Magka forensic science na siya nata next year, di ba? Magka customs administration nata next year. There are natay BS in esports. So kanina mga ingani na ipakita nila na sa billboard, wala na. Labaw na sa mga bata na way buot na mga junior high school lang ng they want to explore so many things, or senior high school students they want to explore so many courses that other schools cannot provide for them. That's usually the hook there, di ba? Wala may esports na sa school sa Davao. Wala may ngani, no? Katong forensic science, di ba? Wala man na ron sa Davao. But LPU will be offering it next year. So, unsa man mo pagpakita na pag market, dali lang. Butang ni mo sa billboard. Na mo agi dira na anak sa police, or na dira na aspiring soko investigator or whatever dira, wala na, kabalo na sila diri nako, no? And what way, although it's very superficial, outdoor promotion siya, it helps, di ba? SM lanang naadira digital billboard, kita sila ngana uy na sale karon, 3-day sale, no? Manulod sila pila ra gud, minus 100 200 lang na sa mga products, pero wala na, ni sulod na ang tao, kinakita na nila, di ba? Or word of mouth na nila, no? Parehas ni, di ba? So, and this, no, you'll see in New York, in Japan, wala man kayo digital billboards dito sa Davao, pero karang singular lang man siya usually sa MCOR, sa LPU, or sa malls, no? Pero dito sa Japan, in first world countries, nakalapag na siya sa the center of the very kung populated kayo, baka ang foot traffic dagko kayo, dito na magawa sa mga nadi ingana. Next is mobile promotion, no? When you use ads or campaigns or product logos, no, using like for example kanang ibutang nimo sa van, sa product stickers, or sa vehicle, ang product stickers rather kay ibutang nimo sa vehicle, sa mobile, sa kanan. Uso mo na ron, di ba? Bisag sa una pa kanang ibutang nimo sa jeep, ibutang nimo sa taxi, promoting something, even gani pang in promoting for presidentiables or kanang mag-election, di ba? Ginaplaster, ginastikeran ang mga sakyanan, ang mga vans, napay mga with all the music, with all the remix, di ba? So it helps because although it's very again superficial, there's always going to be an underlying psychology. Naadyo na yung psychology say there's always an effect to things like these. And so many things. And then next is telemarketing. Kana anay manawag sa inyo mo na gani uso kayong BPO industries karon. Although dili kay siya kusog diri na naiga panawag kas dili mang nahuman na mo ng culture of telephones diri sa, ironically, no, even if we are not a rich country, the culture of like telephone calls wala na siya. Siguro kay cheaper naman jud when you think about it, very di man cheaper but very easy na naman, accessible man sa cellphones. But outside the Philippines, uso mo na siya. That's why they're na BPO industries, di ba? Mag telemarketing mo dyan na manawag, basta gusto ka mo palit ani sir in English, no? Maybe you want to buy this or that, no? Ipang scam nila, joke, dili man scam. They will convince, in short, scam. They will convince old people or people who are not really knowledgeable with joke, dili man. Pero kana nga ang style nila, class, no? They will try to market, or they will try to call someone unsolicited pa jud na, no? Mangutan na sila, gusto ka mapalit og timeshare, gusto ka mapalit og kanang lote, gusto ka mapalit og sinina, may ka nang offer big insurance ba kasi gusto ka in English, and then ang uban sugot, no? Alam mo na din yeah, okay na, usually older people, mga madali ra maatik, so, but it works, no? Because if if telemarketing, if you will contest na it doesn't work anymore, then why is it that there are so many rather BPO industries or mga call centers that exist that have accounts like these, diba? So it still works. There's still they're investing for telemarketing if you're a big corporation or even if you're a small uh, ano company, it still works. Depende po na sa industry kung asa ka. Like for example, in insurance, pwede man na, nice man na siya. Or when in real estate, nice man po siya. Pero kung tahay, lahi na, mga gamay lang ng mga butang, dili na, mga singular products, dili na siguro. Because you can always invest in different kinds of marketing. And then we have events marketing, kanang mga hosting of themed events, no, to cater or to tailor to the product. Like for example, kanang mga car shows na ay kanang mga kung tayo gusto ang isa ka oil company or isa ka what do you call this, company that sells engines or isa ka negosyo na car related, magkuan sila, mag-endorse sila silang products, magpahimo day car shows diri, pakita mga gwapo na sakyanan ng tao, maingon na, oy gwapuha ni oy. Tanaw nila, mo nila ginagamit na ligid, mo nila ginagamit na what do you call this, na tawag gani na oil or whatever, or mga ingana, no? Then ikaw, the event is already effective because makita nimo na there's someone that you like or there's something that you like that's using this product, and then interested na ka to use the product because again, ganahan man siya, din gamiton mo na. Or for example, kanang mag food bazaar, di ba? Yan ay magtugtog gamay, no? Or whatever in tourism, di ba? Kung tayo sa Kidapawan sa Kadayawan, mag-adto diri ang parokya ni Edgar, so tangkilik ang mga tao, ay nice din ni pag na mag-adto dito diri kay dagan kay mga bands mag-adto. So magtaas ang tourism, whatever, sa mga normal So dagan kay na siya. Events marketing is very effective as well. But again, it's always going to be dependent on the industry where you are in. Okay? Napod tayo, very simple, but even the packaging of a product, because again, it's not always about promotions, but even how you package a product is one form of marketing. Like for example, here in the Philippines, or usually in third world countries, natay tawag na sachet marketing, no? When we it's adopted to appeal to consumers who are very cost conscious. And again, kita mga Pinoy, no, mga Filipinos, we don't really want to spend too much on necessities. Dili mo po. Pero like for example, when we want to buy shampoo or soap, kung ang household nato dili po, anak daghan, then even if daghan gani, then mahitabuan na sachet marketing na lang sila, shampoo with soap, even with gani kanang deodorant, daghan kay naka-sachet diri, pagkaon na. And it's effective because at the end of the day, people will again, it always depends on culturally, no? It depends on the culture of a state or a country or whatever, kung kaya nila magkuan, kung mao ni ang ilahang naandanahan, no? They're used to it, and they don't want to spend too much, 300 pesos on buying a shampoo, because for them kaya ra na ko maggasto sa akong mga 50 pesos sa sa shampoo, unom ka sachet, kaya ra man ni kaysa mo gasto kog 300, dili na ako mabana kung pila akong gamiton, di ba? Ngana, like for example, kape, kung gawas ka dito sa mga first world countries, you will rarely see sachets. Did you na makita ng mga nag-sell, wala man gani kanang mga sari-sari stores diya sa lain lugar, di ba? Pero that's how it is here in our country. That's why sachet marketing is very famous. And I think that's it, no? What about you? Can you think of many more methods of marketing? There are so many methods of marketing actually. Always remember that dapat dili ni misconceptualize ang marketing. It's not just about posting or rather creating advertisements. No? Dili jud kana lang. the way you package, the way you communicate to your consumers, even direct pa na or indirect, no, in any method possible, that's already a method of marketing. So that's what you that's one thing that you have to think of, no. So what about you? Again, can you think of many more new methods of marketing that's used right now? That's one thing, no. By the end of the session, after you are done, think about it. Next week we will try to discuss it together. Storyana to, mo din yung mga and you share insights on what you want to, or questions if you have to, about it. No? I think that's it. The lesson is done. I will be uploading the quiz again tomorrow. By the time you're watching this again, it's February 23. So there are already 2 quizzes that will be uploaded. Please just answer them, and I think after that you're already good. If there are no more questions, goodbye and thank you. If there are, chat lang. Okay? Goodbye.